And there we go. And everyone is coming in. Hello, hello, everyone. Hello. Come on in. Come on in. Hello, hello. Okay. Can you see your presentation?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I want to see if I can go into another. We're running a little behind, but that's okay because we can make it up in a different way. Okay.
Welcome, everyone. I'm excited, nervous.
And I'm going to disappear here.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My session is called A Perfect Pair. And pair is going to be our analogy in more than one ways today because we're going to be talking about a tough subject, which is using art as a response to injustice. Um, Everyone, all of us has seen some of the atrocities in the news, and I'm just trying to give kids, people, persons, artists, anyone a way to synthesize and process information. And so I collaborated with PBS and wrote a lesson that is combining two of my heroes from history, which are Ida B. Wells and, of course, Billie Holiday. So, Casey, if you can go ahead and click to my next slide. What I've done is, of course, Ida B. Wells and Lady Day had a common theme: Black women who took their platform and blew up the common complacency, the numbness of the world by talking about lynching. And so Ida B. Wells, of course, was, a post-Civil War journalist who literally went around the world writing, talking, researching the lynchings of African Americans. And so she went into a lot of depth, and I did a lot of research to give primary sources on what she was doing. And on the first page, there was a link. I forgot to mention that, and I apologize. But there is a link to the PBS lesson. The actual title will take you directly to the lesson. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, there were a lot of primary sources about Ida B. Wells and her plight. But a lot of folks don't know she risked everything. She risked her career. They burned down her newspaper, her journalism. They ran her out of town. They did everything they could to almost career-wise lynch her. So she's pivotal in my connection as a perfect pair to Lady Day, Billie Holiday, who, of course, was world renowned for using her own platform to protest lynching as well. Of course, there is the theme song she used to sing as a protest titled Strange Fruit. And it goes into graphic detail about what it was like to see bodies that look like you swinging from a tree, known as, of course, Strange Fruit. And so she, of course, risked her career just like Ida B. Wells. She laid everything out there on the line. She continued to sing a song even when the FBI was telling her, you better shut your mouth. So these two were dynamic in the fact that they were willing to stand and spit in the devil's eye, so to speak, as it relates to the prejudice and injustices of lynching, which, of course, African Americans knew was just nothing but a further extension of slavery. So I'm going to move on because this is a heavy topic. What my lesson is about is how to synthesize and process that information. Yes, you have something tragic, but what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? What are you going to do with your platform? Are you going to sit there and say, oh, that's sad. I wish there was something I could do about it, and then just forget and move on? Or are you going to take action? And what I love about Ida B. Wells and, of course, Billie Holiday is that they did exactly that. right along with these three beautiful women right here. Of course, that's Billie Holiday in the middle, but on the left side is Nina Simone. And she was the one that was run out of town because she sat up there and saying how black and how proud she was. And she was not going to have her mother sit in the back when she played her concerts. She challenged on every accord. She talked about the appreciation and the beauty of our culture. And so, because she did that, because she took that stand, what happens in America when we have to put that reflection, that mirror of ugliness, they ran her out of town. So she ended up going across seas to Europe. But anyways, that was an artist that created a piece of art. Hers was music, classical pianist. Um, her voice was just amazing, but she used her platform to interpret what was going on in her community and her culture to according to her people across, not just here in America, but across the globe. And so she demonstrated her injustice in the best way in her so to speak artistic language, and that's what I want the kids to understand, and that's what I'm trying to get across with this lesson. And so we have Billie Holiday in the middle, but on the right side is meow Eartha Kitt. That was horrible. Hang on a second. I'm so sorry for that. Anyways, but that was my Eartha Kitt growl, and she was another beautiful soul actress, entertainer, dancer, in a Broadway play, just diva. And she was run out of town because she stood up in the LBJ White House when we had a lot of lovely and sophisticated and societal women there discussing the plight in our communities and neighborhoods. And Eartha Kitt was just kind of like, yeah, this is all nice and pleasant, but until you heal the ghetto, y'all just here speaking pleasantries. And in saying that, she went from having the hottest career and being in my opinion, the most sophisticated Catwoman. I love you, Halle Berry, but she's the original. But anyway, she went from being an icon to being run out of town. You're picking up the pattern here, right? Every time we flex and we speak our voice, what happens? We run out of town. So, in saying that, I want to teach kids how to synthesize and process the information. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? It looks like, hey, George Floyd, that happened in 2020. How are you processing that? How are you releasing that? How are you internalizing that? What is your outlet? Because I know for me, lynching was always scary, and it was always something we had to worry about as young kids growing up. You know, we had examples in the 90s of Rodney King being drugged behind his truck. So it's a tangible fear, but it wasn't until 2020 when I saw a man choked out on video, and there was a young girl that was making that video, 17, 18, processing all of that. So one of the ways I teach my kids to synthesize that pain, that shock, that horror is to write. So you can have your kids writing a poem. You know, I was angry on July 4th, so I sat there and wrote out Democracy Pie. I gave you a chance to look at it because, you know, with the reversal of Roe versus Wade, some of us women have strong responses to what is being done unto our body without our consent. So, just like rape is illegal, making me do something that is maybe not in the best interest of my body kind of runs along those same lines. And I'm going to leave that alone because I don't want to poke a bear. But hey, this is a way that you can synthesize and process because it is pros and cons to every decision in life. And this is another way of interpreting and synthesizing it. So let's move on to the next way that you can process art, because I never ever give my kids assignments that I don't do myself. So one was a cooking ingredient. This one is a poem in tribute to those lives that were lost along the way in an unsanctioned, modernized lynching. Again, tying it back to Ida B. Wells, tying it back to Billie Holiday. I titled this poem Underneath the Durian Tree. And I don't know if you know anything about durian fruit, and that's the fruit off here to the right-hand side of your screen, but it is one stanky, disgusting smelling fruit. In fact, if you know anything about Chef Bourdain, rest in peace, I should say. But anyways, he described eating durian fruit like French kissing your dead grandma. Yeah. It's like that. In some countries, it's even banned. So when I processed this, I took something as insignificant as a fruit, because especially a durian fruit, to tie back to the strange fruit, and I gave a modern interpretation, excuse me, of lynching as it pertained to the victims of the 21st century. Because a lot of people want to sit here and say, oh, racism and slavery and Jim Crow and civil rights, all of that's over, said and done. And to the Black community, it's still beating with a heart of hatred, alive and well. And we have too many instances to where we have to speak on it, or where we have to process trauma. And so this is a way of doing it. So you could teach your kids to synthesize through poetry, or as I mentioned earlier, through a cookbook. And last, coming up next, or a recipe, not a cookbook, Lord have mercy. Last is art drawing. And so taking the forbidden, which is, love interracially, which is, appreciation for the humanity in each other. I took that and I ran with it. I thought about, Mildred and Richard Loving, who were the first interracial couple that challenged the Supreme Court, that said, hey, you know what? Y'all can't tell me who I'm going to love. And so I thought about what it must have been like, that true fear and trepidation, and just wanted to be with the person that you love in life. And so I processed that. And I took a real personal approach. My wedding, when I got married, boo. But, anyways, when I did get married, we were the perfect pair. And so I thought about Romeo and Juliet being that forbidden love affair between two houses. I don't even want to start quoting Shakespeare. But, anyways, I thought about them running away and what that fear must have felt like, young love. I thought about myself and what that must have felt like, and Richard and Mildred Loving. And I processed that into a pair. Of course, they ran away to get married. They were caught. And of course, they were lynched. And I titled it Strange Fruit, because, of course, it is strange fruit, but I thought the blight of bullets would modernize it, because, of course, that's what's happening right now in our streets, because so many people are being slain without a chance to speak for themselves or to go through due process. So these are just different examples that I give to my students on how to process pain, in a healthy way. Yes, we could get angry. Yes, we can use our platforms, but we have to get to a part of healing. And that's what this whole process is to how can we heal from the pain that we have so we can move forward, but also look at the pain that we have so we know where we don't want to ever be again. The reason why it's such a pivotal moment right now is because you would think it's common sense that we don't ever want to go back to lynching, but then you have things that happen with Tamir Rice, you have things that happen with George Floyd, you have, you know, Sandra Bland, all of us who have been taken too early. And then you wonder, like, how are we here? We're supposed to be better than this. Haven't we learned from history? So this is just a way to process. Now, here's a little twist of fate, because I know this is heavy, so I'm going to end on a better note. I don't mean to depress you on your Sunday, but I got to hit you with the facts. So if we'll go to the last little slide that I have before I take questions. What you may not know is that Billie Holiday is connected to Black Panther and Wakanda. Now, work with me here. Abel Meeropol, I think that's how you say it. It's Jewish, so if I'm mispronouncing it, please forgive me. But anyways, Abel Meeropol wrote the poem "Strange Fruit" that became the song that Billie Holiday sung, I should say, after seeing a picture of lynched African Americans. Now, what's really cool about it is Abel Meeropol went to school they were in the same class, high school cafeteria with James Baldwin and Stan Lee. So I can't, just in the process and understanding of my brain, if these three dudes, Abel, James, and Stan, were all buddies sitting in a cafeteria, it's amazing what they produced, because Abel did Strange Fruit James Baldwin, prolific LGBTQIA writer, supporter, advocator for Black rights, Black young men way back when. And then Stan Lee, who gave us, of course, Black Panther and Wakanda, were all classmates. So you look at how they processed and they synthesized what was going on in the world. And they turned it into advocacy. They turned it into art, whether it was a song, whether it was a book, whether it was a graphic novel. That connection, that line of continuity, that perfect pairing of spirits. Come on, you guys, you gotta see the bigger layout of how somebody has been watching over us if we just pay attention to the clues and wake up to the common sense around us, which is we are of the same, we bleed the same, we breathe the same. So we got to stop what is happening to our fellow man, whether it comes via lynching or discrimination or prejudice or any of the other ills of the world. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to beg your forgiveness. I hope I didn't leave anything too heavy on your spirit. I would love to cleanse you in joy and light, but I'm going to stop and take some questions because I do have one more thing to show you. I don't know if I can share it with you, Casey. Let me get a link for you. I'll drop it in the chat. But if you want to ask me questions, go ahead and hit me with it. I am listening to you. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yes, any questions, please, by all means, put it in the chat. You have some dynamite comments that are popping through that are really, really interesting. Very well received
Oh,
presentation.
thank
Okay,
you,
I'm
D.
going
Gray. I'm
to
glad I
go.
was here for you. I'm,
Okay.
I'm seeing some of the comments pop up, so I'm trying to give shout outs to those that are here and sharing with us and making this all of a better and more enriching moment.
Okay, let me see if I can pull this one up for everybody. And this is a Twitter stream. So let's see if I can do
Yes.
this. Okay, share screen. And boom. Okay, there we go. I
Scroll
guess you want
up
me to go down? Mm-hmm.
right there. Click on that video right in the middle. We got the volume up a little bit. Should I turn mine up more? I wouldn't be a librarian if I did not include a book that backed up all of my talk today. And so that book is from Carolyn. Uh-oh.
Let's see if I can make sure that that volume is playing. Just try it
Absolutely.
one more time. Yeah.
Anyways, as I was saying, it's a book called Say Her Name, or Say Their Name, I should say, not her name, Say Their Names. And it's by Carolyn Brewer. And of course, it is, I don't want to ruin the plot, but it is a tribute to those lives that have been unfortunately slain untimely and without due process. And so this is her, of course, at a book. I can't even think of the word. I'm sorry, my brain is slowing down on me. I guess I'm nervous.
It
But
was at a
anyways,
book signing.
book signing, yes, a book signing. I couldn't think of book signing. Lord have mercy. And she is leading the people in just a choral, just a complete, simple phrase of say their names. And then it's just such a beautiful healing and vibrational moment of respect, of reverence, of peace, of uplifting in the face of tragedy. So that in of itself is art. And it was free, spontaneous art. She didn't orchestrate it, wasn't a pre-planned moment. But okay, D Gray, giving me more insight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She says I was there. Everybody can see that, right? I don't have to read to you guys. So that was a moment that I felt like that I needed to end on. I do have her consent to share this, so I wouldn't be a librarian if I didn't cite my sources. So without, aside from sharing the DM, I promise you she does know about this. Please, 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 you know, support her. She's out there doing the work. She's explaining and sharing her art through the best means of her love language. So I just want everyone to hear and feel and see that little girl that looks like me, that probably should have been given a lifetime that she deserved. I think about that when I think about the Little Rock Nine, when I think about Tamir, who is the same age as my 14-year-old. So, anyways, I don't want to go back because this is healing. But, anyways, my friend Carolyn, she has a wonderful book and she had this wonderful moment. And I just wanted to share you because that was the soft note of healing that I was going to end on.
And I want everyone to follow the Awakened Librarian on Twitter. Uh, Jane always teaches me something new. I did not know all of them went to the same high school, so that's
Right?
something that I did not know. So
My
thank
mind
you
was
very
blown.
much.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Please take a look at that PBS lessons. There are a lot of extensions. I, even had a part where there's a further play extension between Billie Holiday and Ida B. Wells, and there's an actual speech and debate that talks about lynching. So please get in there, take a look at those lessons. Email me if you have any questions. You can get to me through my blog. And I am just so grateful, eternally blessed to be here and to support, of course, my literary sister, my breath sometimes. Casey, I appreciate you and I love and adore you.
Thank you, sweetheart. And I added the links in the chat here. And then of course we will put update the site the PD site as well so that everybody will be able to catch those links. So don't worry about it. And you take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
All righty. Many blessings. And stay safe. And I will be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
All
Bye, you
righty.
guys.
Thank you. Bye bye now. We're going to go on to our next session.